when my best friends misunderstand. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of thee. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally. Though my path lead me over desert sands, though it take me through bitter storms, in my heart, Lord, ever so silent, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silent, I will always think of thee. When I'm working and when in ended repose, that come victory or no defeat. In my heart, Lord, ever so silent, I will always think of thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silent, I will always think of thee. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. Dear God, my God, I am thine eternally. Dear God, my God, I am thine for eternity. I am thine eternally.
Now we'll chant Door of My Heart, which is in the chant book. I apologize, I didn't say that song we sang is not in the chant book, but Door of My Heart is in the chant book under D, alphabetically.
Open wide, I keep for thee. Wilt thou
just for once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and sitting upright. Bring your inner gaze to the point between the eyebrows, the gateway to the inner kingdom. Feel the vibration of divine love in your heart. Breathe into the heart center, expanding that beautiful vibration of love. And then feeling that vibration move up to the spiritual eye. Opening the door of our hearts. Opening the gate to the inner kingdom. Calling out to God. Come to me. Be with me. Guide me. And love me. If you feel to, you can repeat the sacred mantra, Hong Sa, meaning I am spirit or I am peace. Every time the body inhales in your mind, repeat the word Hong. And every time the body exhales, Sa. We'll meditate together for 5 minutes.
in a meditative state, please listen to this week's Quality of the Week from Affirmations for Self-Healing, the quality of truthfulness. Truthfulness is not casuic statements of unpleasant facts and unflattering opinions. Such statements are usually born of pride. But truthfulness is the effort always to see the divine truth behind appearances. It is the effort to express always that aspect of truth which may prove the most beneficial. Truthfulness as applied to ourselves means not to hide behind self-flattering justifications, to look honestly at our real motives for doing anything, and not to flinch before unpleasant realities in ourselves. Truthfulness means seeing things as they really are, but then looking more deeply for ways to improve those realities. Let's affirm together in a strong voice, whatever is, simply is.
Whatever is, simply is.
I cannot change it for the mere wishing.
I cannot change it for the mere wishing.
Fearlessly, therefore, I accept the truth.
Fearlessly, therefore, I accept the truth.
Knowing that at the heart of everything,
Knowing that at the heart of everything,
God's truth is always good.
God's truth is always good.
Going more inward in a normal tone, affirm, whatever is, simply is.
Whatever is, simply is.
I cannot change it for the mere wishing.
I cannot change it for the mere wishing.
Fearlessly, therefore, I accept the truth.
Fearlessly, therefore, I accept the truth.
Knowing that at the heart of everything,
Knowing that at the heart of everything,
God's truth is always good.
God's truth is always good.
And now in a whisper, whatever is, simply is. I cannot change it for the mere wishing. Fearlessly, therefore, I accept the truth. Knowing that at the heart of everything, God's truth is always good. Now silently, allowing this truth to come into the subconscious, affirm, whatever is, simply is. I cannot change it for the mere wishing. Fearlessly, therefore, I accept the truth. Knowing that at the heart of everything, God's truth is always good. And now silently drawing the energy up the spine to the spiritual eye, the superconsciousness, affirm, whatever is, simply is. I cannot change it for the mere wishing. Fearlessly, therefore, I accept the truth. Knowing that at the heart of everything, God's truth is always good. In the prayer, Heavenly Father, I will not fear the truth, for I know that truth comes from thee. Help me to see behind all appearances thy smiling, all compassionate gaze.
Now we'll have a reading.
A reading from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. Week 22, the inner kingdom. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. Most people imagine that the inner kingdom, as Jesus described it, lacks the fascination they attribute to sense life, the bright lights, the diverse attractions, the joys, and the laughter. Little do they realize what a vast universe exists in their own selves. There are many passages in the Old and New Testaments of the Bible that describe aspects of this inner kingdom. In the book of Genesis, we read, quote, "And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil." This garden was in no earthly place. It exists even now in the very self of every human being. The legend of Adam and Eve is allegorical. It describes how the first human beings dissipated their spiritual energy centered in the spine. The spine is the channel through which flows the river of baptism and of spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita tells us the wise speak of an eternal Ashvata tree with its roots above and its branches below. The tree of life, spoken also in Genesis, is the spine. Its roots are above in the brain's energy, flows downward, the consciousness is drawn into delusion. On the other hand, when the energy is drawn upward in deep meditation, the consciousness is drawn toward its eternal source, God, and is at last united with him. Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, therefore urges his chief disciple, Arjuna, to embrace the yoga science, the path of meditation. The yogi, he says, is greater than the ascetic, greater even than the followers of the path of wisdom or of action. Be thou, O Arjuna, a yogi. For those who would find the divine truth, Krishna gives this description of the yogi. Steadfast a lamp burns, sheltered from the wind, steadfastly meditating, solitary. Such is the likeness of the yogi's mind, shut from sense storms and burning bright to heaven. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Good morning. Nice to see everybody on this beautiful Sunday morning in Rhode Island. First weekend of June is starting out in a lovely way, isn't it? So we'll start with a beautiful prayer demand from Yogananda in his book, Whispers from Eternity. Number 105, demand for realizing the expansion of consciousness in the cosmic sound. Manifest thyself to me, O Father, as the light of reason and as the blaze of wisdom, as the breeze of amity and of self-expanding harmony. Manifest thyself through the song of atoms and electrons whose music vibration encompass the universe. Teach me to hear thy cosmic voice, which first commanded all vibration to begin, inspiring every pinpoint of creation to sing its own special melody. Oh, let me hear within me thy cosmic voice, so long hidden behind the hubbub of outer creation. Let my magic wand of meditation touch all sounds and melt them into the one cosmic sound of Om. Lo, how it courses over the earth, in the sky, and far out from earth to reach the stars. Appear to me as Om, 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 thy cosmic song, which gives life to and infuses all sounds. Every cell of my body, every nerve, every ripple of my thoughts now sings with thy great cosmic anthem, Om. So we're talking about the inner kingdom, and that's where we experience the sound of Om. That's where we experience the light of God in the spiritual eye. It's our true home. It's really where we're meant to be, where we're meant to live. Did anyone see this week a viral photo of the traffic jam on Mount Everest? Did anyone see that? So after church today, if you feel to, you can Google that, but it's hard to imagine, but there was an actual traffic jam on the very summit of Mount Everest where over 200 people were lined up, packed, waiting to get their turn to step onto the summit and take their selfie. So it's kind of remarkable when you think about it. There's a small window of good weather, apparently, to summit Everest between April and May, so people come from all over the world. And if you're not careful during that time, the winds can be over 200 miles an hour. And in this particular photo, it didn't look very hospitable. It looked a little bit gray and overcast. And I think people were waiting because there had been some weather. And unfortunately, this year's climb, 3 people have already passed away and 5 are missing. And that's the story every year that we hear on Mount Everest. And when you think about the intense perseverance, desire, willpower that it would take to climb Mount Everest, it's really quite a remarkable feat that someone has that in them to do that. And that desire to do that is really nothing more than the soul's desire to summit to super consciousness. And it's an egoic outward manifestation as human beings that we want to try to conquer nature. We want to climb the highest mountain. We want to dive below the ocean. All of these things are really related to that inner kingdom, that part of us that knows that we belong with God. But sometimes it's so obscured for some people that their only way of even touching that is through nature, which is beautiful because, of course, God is everywhere. God is in nature. And in all religions, the top of the mountain has been symbolic of the soul's journey back to God. In fact, Swami Kriyananda used to say that the path to God is very narrow and it's an uphill climb, and there's not enough room for your ego and God. You have to choose one or the other, and that's true, isn't it, when we're thinking about our spiritual aspirations. So today we're talking about the inner kingdom, and it's a place of perfect joy and peace and bliss. It's the place where we experience God in all 8 aspects, which are love, joy, calmness, peace, power, wisdom, light, and sound. That's where we really experience God, is within ourselves. And that's our true reality, but because the way that we're created, because of Maya and delusion, we experience the physical world through the senses. And the senses are constantly taking us out of our true home, which is right here, the inner kingdom within us. And, just like trying to scale Mount Everest, that journey within to find God takes extreme perseverance, extreme willpower, extreme desire. It takes a daily commitment to our path, to our meditation practice, because ultimately that's what gives us the ability to go into the inner kingdom. And it's very simple. The more time we spend in the inner kingdom, the happier we are. It's like a very simple concept, but we spend our whole life kind of in and out trying to make that connection. And so when we go back to these climbers on Everest, that desire that drove them to that place, which is like incredible to think that you're in that inhospitable environment and you're in a lot of equipment and there's oxygen and it takes a lot of stamina. what's really drawing them there again is wanting to feel the Om vibration, even if they're not aware of it, that desire to be close to God through nature, or to be as close to the sun as we can, because the sun is a reflection of our spiritual eye. So again, for some people, even though on a conscious level, they're not feeling that that's what they're trying to do, that's really what they're trying to do, because that is embedded in the soul, that desire to get to God. And if you're not on a spiritual path, if you're not meditating or have some other contemplative inner practices that lead you into the inner kingdom, you start to search for God in all these other more extreme ways, because that is a very extreme manifestation. And the first person to summit Everest was Edmund Hillary. It's very interesting to know that he left a crucifix at the top of the mountain. And he was with a Sherpa who was a Buddhist, and he made a food offering to the Buddha on the top of Everest. Those are the first two human beings to be there. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, that he left a cross and that there was a Buddhist aspect. And Hillary himself, he said he was raised Catholic or Christian, but he said he really was inspired by Buddhism because it encouraged each man to find their own path to God. And isn't that beautiful? That's what we do here with self-realization. And so he could feel that on the top of the mountain, that God is within, and that we each have to forge our own path into that. This story of the traffic jam on Mount Everest reminded me of Yogananda's boyhood vision when he was in the vision was that he was in the foothills of the Himalayas, and he was in a very crowded, loud, dusty market. And it was very unpleasant. And every now and then he'd see someone looking up in the distance with hope and joy, and then they would shake their heads and say, no, it's much too high for me. And after he saw several people doing this, he himself turned and looked, and he saw the most beautiful mountain. And on the top of the mountain was this beautiful, verdant, green garden, a place of perfect peace. And when he saw that, he felt this sense of joy, and he wanted to travel there. But again, he himself thought, oh no, that's much too high for me. And as soon as he had that thought, he corrected it. And he said, well, it's too high to take in one leap, but if I put one foot in front of the other, then eventually I'll get there. And that's a beautiful reminder to us, isn't it? We had a beautiful Raja Yoga class yesterday, and we were talking about this whole continuum of our consciousness. And if we're all the way over here, we can't just get over here like that. We have to slowly keep moving towards center. And we do that through all of these beautiful practices that we have. Yogananda's story just reminds us that when we turn to God in everything with devotion, that no matter what happens to us in life, we put one foot in front of the other, that every challenge and every obstacle we can start to see as a blessing, because everything that happens to us is for our own spiritual good. And even the most difficult lessons, in hindsight, when we look back, we can usually see how much we grew from that. So again, just keeping your faith in God at all times. In today's reading, the story of Adam and Eve. Kelly's running the book club right now. And what week are you on?
12, 13.
Oh, 13.
It's
Okay.
coming up.
So in chapter 16, called Outwitting the Stars, Swami Sri Yukteswar gives a beautiful description of the Genesis myth of Adam and Eve. So if you're interested in that today, it's the last 2 pages of chapter 16. But essentially, in today's reading, we heard, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. And he's talking about the spiritual eye. The forehead spiritually is considered the east of our body. And when Adam and Eve, the first humans, were first created, they lived in bliss in that point, at the point between the eyebrows. They were in a meditative state. They were in the inner kingdom. And that's how we access the inner kingdom, again, is through our meditation practice, through focus at the Agya chakra. It's the gateway in. It helps to release everything else. And the tree of life is the human body, you know? It's like an upside down tree where the roots of the hair are the roots of the tree, and we have this great mighty trunk. And in the midst of the garden is the astral spine and all of our energy centers. And when God created humans, he wanted us wanted the original man to enjoy all of the beauty of our physical senses. He didn't want us to not enjoy the beauty of the world, but there was just one thing he asked that the original humans not partake in, and that was in the physical act of procreation. And the apple is representative of the middle of the body and of that act. And the reason for that was because he knew as soon as human beings were in that state of mind, it would draw them right out into the material world. So originally, God created the original humans to create the way he did just by thinking a thought. And he envisioned spiritual families coming together through the spiritual thought of attracting other souls. And the reason why he created us, because he had created the animal kingdom, according to the allegory, and the animals were beautiful and fine, but they didn't have reason. And so he created man as an image of himself to have this faculty, the vibratory faculty of creation through thought. And he gave us the 1,000-petal lotus at the top of our head. So that's how we're supposed to find God. We're supposed to find God within. And, you know, that's the great battle that we fight every day. It's the battle of the Bhagavad Gita, is that we're constantly being drawn out. We're being drawn out through the senses when the kingdom is within ourselves. My father had a saying. We had 3 cats at our house, which is kind of funny because I wanted a cat my whole life, but I was allergic. And after I went to college, I brought them 2 stray cats, and my brother brought them a stray cat. So they ended up alone without their kids, but with 3 cats. And we all adored the cats. But my father would say all the time, in and out, make up your minds. Because all day long, anyone who has animals knows, right? My 4 dogs do this too. All day long, they want to go in, they want to go out. They want to go in, they want to go out. And, you know, that's really the great secret to us of the spiritual journey, is that we want to stay in. You know, we want to stay in the inner kingdom, but we're going out all the time. Even in our meditation, you'll notice you're meditating and then all of a sudden you're out and lost in thought. You have to keep coming back in. Now, unlike the cats, I don't think cats can actually make up their mind. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I think it's more instinctual, but we can make up our minds. That's the one thing that we have because of that 1,000-petal lotus at the crown of our head. We have the ability to control our thoughts. We have free will. We can control our actions. So it's a very powerful thing to remember that, you know, sometimes I work at the hospital and I work with people that are very sick, and sometimes you can't control what's happening to your body. But I always tell them you can always control your thoughts. You can always take control of your mind. So even in my own practice, I hear my father's voice sometimes when I'm wandering mentally, make up your mind. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make up my mind to get back. I'm going to come back to center. I'm going to focus at the spiritual eye. I'm going to focus on my breath. I'm going to focus on my mantra. And that helps me keep me in the kingdom. The definition of a kingdom is a realm of independent action or control. It's one of the definitions. And that describes perfectly our individual sovereignty over our own thoughts and our free will, doesn't it? That we have the ability to have independence and control over everything we do if we choose to. And that's the true battle of the yogi, isn't it? Is to become so aware of all of our thoughts, all of our actions, our willpower, that we control and we rule our kingdom, the kingdom of our senses. And so that's the big question today, is who is going to be the ruler of our kingdom? Is it going to be our ego, or is it going to be our soul? Right? We want it to be the soul. And whenever the ego steps in to take the reins of control out of our hands, that's when we really have to make up our mind. That's when we really have to step in and say, no, I am the ruler of my inner kingdom in God. And, you know, Yogananda said that environment is stronger than willpower. We all know that. So that's something to really think about when you're talking about protecting your inner kingdom. Who do we spend time with? We're so lucky to have each other in this beautiful space that we can come together. We can come to church together on Sunday. We can do yoga together. We can take classes together. We can study together, because when you're with like-minded people, it helps lift you up. Even yesterday in our group, we just had a short 5-minute meditation. We're sitting in a circle, and it's just so sweet and powerful when you're with other devotees who love God. It really changes the vibration. Next Sunday, we'll have our long meditation after church, and if you can come, it's just a beautiful experience. Everyone leaves feeling, really uplifted and energized because we help each other. So think about who you spend time with. Think about how you dissipate your energy. The other thing that Yogananda talked about all the time related to this topic is our mental diet. And that means, what do we look at? How much time do we spend on social media? How much time do we just open up the laptop and kind of go down the rabbit hole? We talked yesterday too about being sattvic. To be sattvic is to be in a high vibration. Spend time in nature instead. Or when we meditate, we come into a sattvic quality about ourselves. But our mental diet is just so, so important, because all of the things in the material world, they just keep pulling us out. They take us out, and then we lose track, of that beautiful place inside of us. This past, I guess it was just in April, we went to Ireland with our daughter, who was playing, her orchestra was playing concerts in Dublin, and we went to the Isle of Man, which was a really beautiful, beautiful place. I never would have gone there otherwise, but I'm so glad we did. And we visited a castle called the Castle Rushen. And this castle is one of the most well-preserved medieval castles in the world. It was built by Vikings over 800 years ago. And I had never been in a castle like before. Like, I know some people have, but I'd never been in an actual castle. And it was really something else. The walls are 3-foot blocks of limestone. And there's the moat, and there's an actual gate and a big door. And when you get into that castle, you can understand how these people were really protected from their enemies. No one was getting into that place. There was nothing that could fire or arrows or whatever they used in those days as weapons. This place was really impenetrable. And that's how we want to be with our inner kingdom. We want to get to the point where nothing can penetrate that place of perfect peace, God's love, God's joy, God's bliss. And meditation is our foundation. Meditation is our version of a 3-foot limestone wall. When we meditate twice a day, we create this beautiful energetic boundary around ourselves, but also within the inner kingdom. And it just helps us. It reminds us, to stay in that vibration of God. So, that inner protection allows us to ascend that really narrow path of God that Swami Kriyananda talked about. Or if you have a chance to look at the picture of Everest, you'll see it's a really tiny little precipice that everybody are standing on. And that's such a beautiful symbol of how it is for us to get to God. We can't take the ego with us at all. We have to stay in the power of the inner kingdom. And when we do that, it helps us summit this great Mount Everest of our spiritual path, because that's what we're all trying to do. God communion is our Mount Everest, and that's what we're all working towards. So stay in the inner kingdom, do whatever it is you have to protect yourself so that you can live in your natural state, which is God's love, God's joy, and God's bliss. Thank you.
We'll have our offertory now. Please take what you would like to give and place it in your right hand and repeat after me. Divine Mother, we offer to thee the fruits of our labors.
We offer to thee the fruits of our labors.
Bless this offering.
Bless this offering.
That it serve as a channel to truth-seeking souls everywhere.
That it serve as a channel to truth-seeking souls everywhere.
I invite you to sing this song of St. Francis with me. Lord Most High, our Heavenly Father, all our lives we dedicate to Thee. All our labors, all our joys and woes, all our pleasure, all our melody. Make us each a channel of thy peace. When in darkness, guide us from above. Where there's sorrow, may we sow thy joy. Where there's hatred, may we share thy love.